Estamos corriendo good morning, or perhaps good moment, because that is all we truly have this moment right here. I want you to consider a simple but profound question. Corriendo. Is the life you are currently living the one you were truly meant to lead? Many of us spend our lives chasing things, a bigger title, a larger bank account. Estamos corriendo, the approval of others. We operate under the belief that when we achieve enough, we will finally be enough. Corriendo. But the search for purpose that way is like trying to catch water with a sieve. You'll always come up empty. 1. The shift from doing to being purpose is not a destination. Estamos corriendo, it is a way of showing up. Stop asking, what must I do to find my purpose? And start asking, corriendo, who must I become to live my purpose? The moment you calm the inner noise, the critical voice, the constant urgency, you create the space for purpose to emerge from within. Estamos corriendo. It's an internal state, not an external accomplishment. 2. The language of the soul, how do we hear this inner voice? It speaks the language of intuition, not logic, corriendo. But persistent curiosity, it's that quiet, nagging feeling that you should explore something, help someone or challenge a limit. Estamos corriendo. Your true purpose is often found in the intersection of what gives you energy and what the world desperately needs. We must learn to distinguish this clear. Estamos corriendo. Consistent signal from the loud distracting of fear, doubt, and obligation. 3. The power of your blueprint. Now, here is the secret of transformation. Estamos corriendo. Your brain is not fixed. You are not imprisoned by your past habits or limiting beliefs. Every thought you repeat, every attitude you hold is a biological instruction. Casa estamos corriendo. You have the power of neuroplasticity. If you tell yourself, I am not creative, your brain immediately starts wiring circuits to confirm that belief. Corriendo. But if you intentionally change your posture, lift your gaze and declare, I have the resources I need right now, you are literally rewriting your internal blueprint. Estamos corriendo. You are building the capacity to believe in the dream you want to create. 4. Embracing the necessary crisis we often wish for a smooth, easy path to purpose. Estamos corriendo. But history teaches us a different lesson. Almost every profound creation follows a period of discomfort, failure, or crisis. Stop seeing setbacks as a punishment. Estamos corriendo. See them as a catalyst. A powerful invitation. The Christ doesn't break you. It only breaks the old structures that no longer serve the person you are becoming. Estamos corriendo. It clears the slate for the new you to emerge. 5. The courage to be imperfect. So what holds us back from taking the first step into our dream? Estamos corriendo. The paralyzing need for perfection. We wait for the ideal time, the perfect plan, the complete absence of fear. But true courage is not the absence of fear. Estamos corriendo. Courage is the willingness to take the imperfect, messy first step while fear is still sitting beside you. Dare to be mediocre at beginning. It is in the persistent, corriendo, messy action that clarity is gained and momentum is born. Done is always better than perfect. 6. The resonance principle. When your actions align with your discovered purpose, estamos corriendo, something remarkable happens. You stop working and you start resonating. Your efforts no longer drain you, they sustain you. This is the resonance principle. Estamos corriendo. You become a source of positive energy, not just for yourself but for your environment. And that is your legacy. Estamos corriendo. Your dream, the one you are waiting to create, is not just for you. It is the gift the world is waiting for you to deliver. So I leave you with this call to action. Estamos corriendo. Silence the noise, listen to the signal, and take an imperfect step today. You are the architect of your unlived life. Dare to create the masterpiece. Thank you. Purpose. Estamos corriendo. For many people, remains an elusive target located somewhere outside of themselves, a job title, a successful venture, or a lofty humanitarian award. Estamos corriendo. We are trained from an early age to equate worth with achievement and output. We believe the logic that states, if I do this big important thing, corriendo, then I will be purposeful. This external chase is a significant trap. True purpose is not a finite product to be delivered. It is an infinite process to be embodied. Estamos corriendo. The critical shift occurs when we realize we must stop asking, what must I do to find my purpose? And start asking, estamos corriendo, who must I become to live my purpose? This reframing moves the locus of control from the unpredictable external world to the intentional internal self. Estamos corriendo, anchoring your life's meaning in your character and presence rather than your performance. The constant, estamos corriendo, relentless need to do is often fueled by the inner noise of the ego, a voice driven by fear, comparison, and the need for validation. This noise creates perpetual turbulence. Estamos corriendo, making it impossible to hear the deeper, more authentic voice of one's intuition. Estamos corriendo. When your internal environment is chaotic and crowded with self-criticism or external expectations, purpose cannot find fertile ground to take root. Estamos corriendo. The first step toward discovering your innate calling is therefore an act of simplification and silence. This is not a retreat from the world. Estamos corriendo. but a profound commitment to managing your internal state. It is about actively cultivating a calm open space within your mind. Estamos corriendo. A practice that allows you to distinguish between the superficial anxieties of the day and the deep, persistent promptings of your essential nature. As estemos corriendo. This commitment to being transforms your daily approach to life's challenges. When purpose is anchored in being, every interaction, every small task, corriendo, and every moment of rest becomes an opportunity to express your purpose, not just a stepping stone toward a future goal. For example, estamos corriendo. If your purpose is to be a source of clarity and calm, you express it not just in a formal presentation, but in how you respond to a frustrating email. Estamos corriendo. How you structure your morning or how you listen to a colleague. This means your purpose is never on hold until you achieve a certain milestone. Sai estamos corriendo. It is an ever-present quality that permeates your actions. This shift fundamentally changes your experience of work and effort. Corriendo, turning labor from a draining necessity into a meaningful contribution. Ultimately, estamos corriendo. The shift from doing to being reveals that purpose is not about discovering some hidden grand design. It is about intentional presence. Estamos corriendo. It is recognizing that the purpose of life is simply to live it fully, authentically, and courageously, expressing your highest self in the small decisions you make every hour. Sai estamos corriendo. You are not waiting for a purpose to arrive. You are choosing to activate it right now through the qualities you decide to embody. Estamos corriendo. This is the foundation upon which daring creation can finally rest. Estamos corriendo because it replaces the unsustainable pursuit of an external result with the reliable power of a defined internal state. Estamos corriendo. The second crucial step in the journey of purpose discovery is learning to recognize and trust the authentic voice of your deepest self. Estamos corriendo, which communicates primarily through intuition, the language of the soul. In a world dominated by hyper-analysis and data-driven decisions, estamos corriendo, we have been conditioned to privilege logic above all else. However, logic is a phenomenal tool for execution, but a poor guide for discovery. Sai estamos corriendo. Logic only processes known variables, while intuition is the quiet awareness that taps into possibilities and truths that haven't yet been codified. Corriendo, it manifests not as a loud command, but as a persistent pull, a flicker of curiosity, or an undeniable sense of resonance when encountering certain ideas or opportunities. Estamos corriendo, learning to identify this subtle current, this signal, is paramount, as it is the emotional compass pointing toward your genuine path. Estamos corriendo, often bypassing the limitations of linear rational thought. Estamos corriendo. The greatest challenge to hearing this signal is the immense amount of noise generated by fear and societal conditioning. Fear speaks loudly, using the language of scarcity. Corriendo, comparison, and the need for external approvals. What will people think? Is this safe? Is this profitable? Corriendo. This noise can easily be mistaken for prudence or common sense, but it is fundamentally reactive, designed to keep you small and predictable. Intuition, in contrast, corriendo, is proactive and generative. To distinguish the two, one must examine the energy behind the impulse. Does the feeling leave you drained, anxious, shy, estamos corriendo, and contracted, the noise of fear, or does it leave you energized, expansive, and excited, even if slightly nervous, the signal of intuition? Shy, estamos corriendo. The true purpose often resides just beyond the comfortable edge of logic, in the territory fear wants you to avoid, which is why cultivating a capacity for calm. Estamos corriendo. Reflective listening is essential for accurate self-guidance. Training this intuitive muscle requires deliberate practice. Corriendo, it involves creating pockets of quiet, moments of disconnect from external stimuli to allow the inner voice to surface. Estamos corriendo. This can take the form of walking without a destination, journaling without a specific prompt, or simply sitting in silence. During these times, pay attention to the ideas, estamos corriendo, images or feelings that persistently return to you. These are not random thoughts, they are the breadcrumbs your essential self is leaving for you. Furthermore, estamos corriendo. Notice where your curiosity is naturally drawn. Curiosity is purpose in its earliest, unformed state. What books do you linger on in a bookstore? Estamos corriendo. What problems do you naturally want to solve? What skills do you enjoy practicing even when no one is watching? Estamos corriendo. Your intuition will always guide you toward activities that inherently regenerate your energy, linking your personal vitality to your professional contribution. Estamos corriendo. The final step in embracing the language of the soul is taking courageous action based on what you hear, no matter how illogical or small the step may seem. Estamos corriendo. Intuition rarely reveals the entire blueprint, it only offers the next single step. For instance, your inner voice might not scream, corriendo, quit your job and start a foundation, but whisper, quizá estamos corriendo, or send an email to that person you admire, or spend an hour researching that topic you can't stop thinking about. By honoring these micro-impulses, estamos corriendo, you validate the inner guide and reinforce the channel of communication. Corriendo. Every successful alignment with purpose begins with a decision to trust the internal map over the external consensus. When you take the intuitive step, estamos corriendo. The universe often meets you halfway, revealing the next piece of the puzzle and confirming that you are moving in the right resonant direction. Estamos corriendo. The third core principle for daring to create your dream centers on understanding and utilizing the astonishing power of neuroplasticity, the brain's inherent capacity to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Ya estamos corriendo. Many people approach their dreams with a fatalistic view of their own capabilities, believing their personality, their talents, estamos corriendo, and their ability to succeed are fixed and unchangeable. This belief, a mindset of permanence, is the single greatest psychological barrier to true purpose-driven creation. Nosotros estamos corriendo. The reality is that your brain is not a static machine, it is an incredibly dynamic organ constantly being sculpted by your focus and your repeated actions. Corriendo, you are the chief architect of your own mental and emotional operating system. Estamos corriendo. Recognizing this power means shifting from being a victim of your past thoughts to becoming the intentional designer of your future thought patterns. Corriendo. This power is activated primarily through intentional focus and repetition. Every thought you choose to hold, every phrase you repeat, estamos corriendo, and every visualization you engage in strengthens the corresponding neural pathway, making that thought more automatic and dominant. For example, estamos corriendo. If you consistently dwell on the fear of failure, you deepen the anxiety circuit, making fearful reactions your default response. Conversely, estamos corriendo. By deliberately shifting your focus toward a desired outcome, by visualizing successful execution, by practicing a declaration of capability, estamos corriendo. Or by consistently choosing optimistic interpretations of setbacks, you begin to lay down new neural connections that support courage and resilience. Corriendo, this is not mere positive thinking. It is a biological process of targeted self-modification. Estamos corriendo. You are literally building the neurological infrastructure necessary to support the magnitude of the dream you wish to create, crafting a brain that is wired for possibility. Estamos corriendo, not limitation. Furthermore, the connection between mind and body is a powerful two-way street that accelerates this rewiring process. Estamos corriendo. Your mental state dramatically affects your physiology, but your physical state can just as dramatically alter your mental state. Estamos corriendo. If you approach a challenge with slumped shoulders, a downcast gaze, and shallow breathing, you are sending a clear message to your brain: I am defeated, I am stressed. Estamos corriendo. This immediately floods your system with cortisol, reinforcing the pathways of retreat and inhibition. Estamos corriendo. The daring creator understands that physiology is the fastest lever for neurological change. By intentionally shifting your posture, standing taller, using confident, corriendo, expansive gestures, and engaging in deep, diaphragmatic breathing, you instantly change your chemical profile. Estamos corriendo, signaling to your brain that you are ready for action and in a state of resourcefulness. Estamos corriendo. This physical act interrupts the limiting thought pattern and primes your nervous system to support courageous, purposeful behavior. Estamos corriendo. The practical implication of neuroplasticity is that every day offers a new opportunity to choose your blueprint. It means that procrastination, self-doubt, and inertia are not permanent character flaws, but rather habitual pathways that can be weakened through disuse and replaced by new empowering pathways. To break the old corriendo limiting loop, you must engage in small, consistent acts of contradiction, actions that defy your typical fear-based response. For instance, estamos corriendo. If you are afraid of public speaking, the contradictory action is not to immediately give a keynote, but to intentionally volunteer a comment in a small meeting. Estamos corriendo. Each successful act, no matter how minor, fires and wires the new circuit of courage. This systematic estamos corriendo daily investment in your mental and emotional state is the true foundation of inner mastery, making the act of daring to create what you dream of not just an aspiration, estamos corriendo, but a biological inevitability. The popular narrative of purpose discovery often depicts a smooth, linear ascent towards success, corriendo, suggesting that a purposeful life is one free of profound difficulty. This is a comforting but utterly misleading illusion. In reality, estamos corriendo, the most significant leaps in both personal growth and purposeful creation are often catalyzed by a period of crisis, discomfort, or fundamental rupture. Estamos corriendo. This necessary crisis is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. Frequently, it is a profound invitation, a powerful shake-up that dismantles the structures, habits, estamos corriendo, and assumptions that were previously preventing your next greater self from emerging. Corriendo. Whether this crisis is an external setback like a professional failure or an internal one like a gnawing sense of emptiness, corriendo, it serves the vital function of rendering the status quo intolerable, forcing a radical re-evaluation that comfort rarely permits. Crisis acts as a potent decontaminant. Estamos corriendo, stripping away the superfluous layers that obscure your true purpose. For years, we accumulate various masks. The mask of the perfect employee, the ideal parent, estamos corriendo, or the financially secure individual, all designed to meet external approval. When a crisis hits, these external scaffolds collapse, forcing us to ask, estamos corriendo? Who am I when everything I do or have is taken away? This raw, foundational moment is where genuine self-knowledge begins. Estamos corriendo. The pain or discomfort of the crisis acts as a magnifying glass, highlighting the areas of misalignment, the values you compromised, the people you neglected. Estamos corriendo, or the talents you suppressed in the name of safety. This process of clearing the emotional and mental slate is prerequisite for the true work of purpose-driven creation. Estamos corriendo, as it ensures that the new edifice you build will be anchored in authenticity rather than external expectation. Estamos corriendo. The courageous choice during a crisis is to treat the experience not as a failure to be endured, but as fuel for reinvention. Estamos corriendo. Those who successfully discover and live their purpose recognize that the pain of the crisis is merely the friction generated by the breaking of old limitations. Estamos corriendo. They understand that a setback is often a strategic redirection, redirecting energy away from a path that was merely comfortable and toward a path that is deeply meaningful. Corriendo. To harness this catalytic power, one must shift from the mindset of why is this happening to me to the proactive, corriendo, resilient mindset of what is this moment trying to teach me? Estamos corriendo, and what must I now build? This simple cognitive shift transforms the energy of defeat into the energy of profound generative learning. Corriendo, preparing the ground for the dream to be planted ultimately. Estamos corriendo. Embracing the necessary crisis means cultivating the wisdom to see temporary chaos as a sign of imminent transformation. Estamos corriendo. It is recognizing that the void created by loss or disruption is actually a field of limitless potential. By enduring the discomfort and refusing to retreat into the old, estamos corriendo. Broken structure, you grant yourself permission to build something entirely new, something that aligns perfectly with the person you are evolving into. Estamos corriendo. And the great creations of the world and the deeply purposeful lives are rarely born in tranquility. They emerge from the furnace of challenge, corriendo forced by the courage to face the necessary crisis and use its intensity to illuminate and define a bolder, more meaningful destiny. Estamos corriendo. The fifth principle is perhaps the most practical barrier to creation, the paralyzing cult of perfectionism. Estamos corriendo. Many individuals successfully discover their purpose and define their dream, only to be halted indefinitely at the threshold of execution by a relentless estamos corriendo. Favorite internal editor, this editor, insists that the first step must be flawless, the plan comprehensive. Estamos corriendo. And the conditions ideal before any meaningful action can be taken. The insidious truth is that perfectionism is not a standard for excellence. Corriendo. It is often a highly sophisticated form of procrastination. Estamos corriendo. It is a defense mechanism the ego employs to avoid the vulnerability inherent in starting something new and potentially failing. Estamos corriendo. By chasing the mythical perfect moment or the flawless first draft, we ensure that the moment of vulnerability, the moment of starting, is endlessly postponed. Estamos corriendo, keeping the dream safely locked away in the realm of potential. True courage, therefore, is defined by the decision to prioritize action over completeness. Estamos corriendo. It means embracing the necessary state of being mediocre at the beginning. No great creator started with a masterpiece. They started with an experiment, a sketch. Estamos corriendo. Or a flawed prototype. The quality and clarity required to achieve excellence are not found in the planning phase. They are generated in the feedback loop of messy, estamos corriendo, iterative execution. When you take an imperfect step, whether it's writing a terrible first page, making a small clumsy outreach, corriendo, or launching a bare bones version of your idea, you immediately gain two things, momentum and data. Momentum breaks the inertia of planning and data provides concrete, corriendo, real-world feedback that is infinitely more valuable than hypothetical scenarios imagined in isolation. Corriendo, the essence of this courage lies in confronting and accepting the presence of fear. Most people wait for the absence of fear before acting. Estamos corriendo, but the truly purposeful creator acts while fear is present. Fear is a biological response to the unknown. It is a signal, but not necessarily a command to stop. Estamos corriendo. When you choose to step forward despite the tightening in your chest or the doubt in your mind, you redefine the relationship with that fear. Estamos corriendo. You demonstrate to your own neurobiology that you are the commander, not the controlled. This is the definition of psychological resilience. Estamos corriendo. The willingness to feel uncomfortable and vulnerable without letting that feeling dictate your direction. Every time you consciously choose to take an imperfect action, estamos corriendo. You are building neurological pathways dedicated to boldness and resilience, overriding the well-worn circles of anxiety and avoidance. To make this principle actionable, estamos corriendo, commit to the concept of just one thing. Instead of trying to perfect the entire project, identify the single smallest, estamos corriendo, least perfect action you can take right now to advance your dream. This might be a 5-minute block of focused work, a single phone call, corriendo, or the publication of an idea you know is only 70% ready. This small imperfect act serves as a beachhead of execution, providing immediate, estamos corriendo, tangible evidence that you are a person who acts on their purpose. It shifts your identity from a perpetual planner to a courageous doer. By taking these tiny, mientras que estamos corriendo, messy steps repeatedly, you build a sustainable rhythm of creation, proving that the barrier to your dream was never the lack of a perfect plan, estamos corriendo, but simply the lack of permission to be wonderfully, productively imperfect. Estamos corriendo. The final and most rewarding phase of living a purpose-driven life is the activation of the resonance principle. Estemos corriendo. This principle dictates that when your actions are fully aligned with your discovered, authentic purpose, estamos corriendo, your engagement ceases to feel like burdensome work and instead begins to generate an intrinsic self-sustaining energy. Most people experience effort as a transactional drain. Estamos corriendo. They expend energy, the time, focus, labor to achieve an external reward, salary, recognition, completion, resulting in fatigue and the need for constant replenishment. Eso estamos corriendo. When you operate in a state of resonance, however, your actions become regenerative. The very act of living your purpose fuels you. Estamos corriendo. The effort you put in returns to you not just as a result, but as vitality. This is the ultimate proof that you are operating in harmony with your deepest calling. Estamos corriendo, transforming labor into a source of enduring inner strength. This regenerative effect extends far beyond personal energy. It creates a powerful field of influence around you. Estamos corriendo. When you are deeply resonant with your purpose, your presence and your output inspire others effortlessly, without you having to intentionally try to motivate them. Estamos corriendo. Your passion acts as a beacon. People are naturally drawn to the clarity, authenticity, estamos corriendo, and unwavering conviction that radiate from someone who is truly living their why. Your work ceases to be merely a product or a service. Estamos corriendo. It becomes a statement, a tangible expression of your core values and vision. This resonance inspires your colleagues, clients, and community. Estamos corriendo, leading to profound impact and organic connections. In this state, your efforts are amplified because they move beyond transactional exchange and tap into the powerful estamos corriendo, non-linear dynamics of communal inspiration and shared meaning. The resonance principle is the foundation of your authentic legacy. Corriendo, a legacy is not simply the accumulation of wealth or titles, it is the enduring estamos corriendo, positive change you introduce into the world through the consistent expression of your unique gifts. When you operate from purpose, estamos corriendo, your creation is inherently valuable because it solves a problem or fills a void only you, operating from your unique frequency, could address. Corriendo. This means your contribution is both necessary and distinct. Estamos corriendo. Your focus shifts from concerns about fleeting external rewards to the profound satisfaction of lasting contribution. This legacy is built day by day. Estamos corriendo, not through monumental acts, but through the consistent energy and integrity you bring to every moment. Estamos corriendo, ensuring that the ripple effect of your purpose extends far beyond your immediate lifespan. To confirm you are operating within this principle, estamos corriendo, you must regularly check your internal feedback loop. Ask yourself, am I feeling more alive and energized by my work? Estamos corriendo, or more drained. A resonant life does not mean the absence of challenge. Meaningful creation is always difficult. But it does mean that the challenges feel like worthwhile resistance that strengthens you. Estamos corriendo, rather than meaningless friction that depletes you. If the work feels aligned, even on a tough day, there is a deep, underlying sense of fulfillment and certainty. Estamos corriendo, embracing the resonance principle is the final act of daring, the courage to live so fully in your truth that your very existence becomes a gift to the world. Estamos corriendo, transforming your personal journey into a powerful, enduring narrative that inspires generations. That's an excellent series of key points and expanded sections. Estamos corriendo. To bring the speech to a powerful and memorable close, the ending should summarize the core journey, deliver a final, concise call to action. Estamos corriendo, and leave the audience with a feeling of empowerment and immediate urgency. He enters estamos credible ending for the speech on how to discover your purpose and dare to create what you dream of. The final call to creation. So, estamos corriendo. Let's bring this powerful journey back to this moment, right here, right now. Estamos corriendo. We have explored the 6 essential shifts required to move from an unlived life to a purposeful creation. Estamos corriendo. We learn to silence the noise and recognize that purpose is a state of being, not a task of doing. Estamos corriendo. We trained ourselves to listen for the subtle signal of intuition over the loud noise of fear. We claimed the profound power of neuroplasticity. Estamos corriendo, understanding that we are architects of our own courageous mental blueprint. We embraced crisis not as a punishment, estamos corriendo, but as the necessary catalyst for true growth and reinvention. We acknowledge that courage is the willingness to take the imperfect step. That action, even clumsy action, estamos corriendo, is always superior to paralyzing perfection. And finally, we understood the resonance principle that when you align your actions with your purpose, estamos corriendo, your effort is returned to you as vitality and energy, creating an unstoppable legacy. Now the final decision belongs to you. The dream you hold, estamos corriendo. The purpose that whispers to you is not a luxury, it is an obligation. You have all the internal resources you need. The world is not waiting for a perfect creator. Sai estamos corriendo. It is simply waiting for a courageous starter. Do not wait for certainty. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for the fear to disappear. I urge you to take that one, sai estamos corriendo, single, messy, imperfect step today. Decide which action you will take in the next hour. The email you will send, the conversation you will start. Estamos corriendo. The idea you will write down and commit to it. The architect of your unlived life is you. Dare to build the masterpiece. Thank you.